Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back, folks. It's been a little while for us. I know for some of you, it may not seem like we've skipped a beat, but we've actually taken a few weeks off and just to recharge and get our thoughts together and get back in the saddle, man. How you feeling, Walt?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm excited. Just looking back on these past two seasons has really motivated me and inspired me and made me feel grateful for all the different countries that we're in. Right now we're in 18 countries. We
Wow,
have
God bless.
over close to 600 listens now, and it's just exciting to be putting this information out there and people listening to it. Some of the accolades that we've been getting online, some of the praise from people that have tuned into it or stumbled across it, and them saying how impactful it's been for them. So I'm
It's
just
been
excited for
amazing.
that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Likewise, it's been really amazing. We are, like Walt said, just incredibly grateful. We didn't think we'd be growing this quickly, this much. We value the audience. We're such a niche subject. It's about payroll. We focus on that. And I feel like we're two normal guys talking about payroll. I can't believe we've done so much in this time. Thank you for the folks that are reaching out to us on LinkedIn. Yeah, man, we're really excited to keep bringing you content. There's so much to talk about in payroll. We've met such interesting people along this
Yeah.
way so
Yeah.
far. We've discovered folks that are close to us that kind of have this knack and gift that could talk more. So just developing things and figuring out different ways to bring you guys payroll. One of the things that we talked about is the technical piece, the 101 and the 102. We're rethinking how we want to deliver that product.
Yeah. Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. But for the podcast, we want to keep it flowing, very conversational, very relevant. Season 3, like Walt mentioned in a little snippet that he dropped a couple weeks ago, we're going to really focus on the employee experience and their
Yeah.
check, right?
Yeah.
And with some tips for the professional, because it's about payroll. We're here to help payroll professionals. But it's been really hard for me and I love it. But the pivot to see it from an employee experience without being a payroll person, I guess that's the challenge, right? Because I've been
Hmm.
in payroll so long, like the paycheck is so second nature to me.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it is challenging for a person getting a check and what that looks like. So we pivot to that focus. We don't want to lose sight that this is for the payroll professional, but
Hmm.
from a different angle, because that's our customers. Our employees are our customers.
Yep.
And it's funny, yesterday, someone close to me brought up a question and had a payroll question. Basically, how much can we delay an employee's pay if the employee was 100% responsible for the lack of on-time payment?
So the employee made a mistake with their direct
So this was specifically more punches, right? They did
punches.
not. So the example was an employee doesn't punch in for the day, in or
Okay.
out. So there's no missed
Uh,
punch, right? For a missed punch, you need one half of the punch. But if they don't punch in or out and they're hourly, or it just looks like you didn't work that day.
yep. Uh-huh.
Now, come payday, they say, "Oh, you didn't pay me for the 5th. Oh, you didn't punch in that or out that day." Yeah, but I worked. Now they're telling you this on payday when there is a grace period for errors already, right?
Hmm.
Now that comes payday, right? So now, how long do you have as a company to pay this person and still be in compliance? I think it's state by state, and if you're in a state that doesn't have a governing body, like for instance Florida, we don't have income taxes in Florida, but the other side of that is we don't have a governing body that kind of mandates and regulates and advocates for employees. I think it defaults to some reasonableness. But the point was, this person brought up a subject that we haven't covered and from a different angle. And I think it lends itself very well to the season 4 that you're mentioning. And for those of you, of course, don't know yet, but Walter's been outlining a season 4 for us, and it's more from the company aspect, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you go into a little bit more what you envision?
So for season four, I wanted to be, you wanted to focus on the first half of season four. I wanted to focus on payroll from the company view. So we look at it from the company side of things and how a company should handle the payroll. Like, we're not salesmen or anything like that, but we've handled enough different payroll software, enough
Mm,
HCMs that we can navigate in many different systems. We've grown accustomed and adaptable to looking
yep.
at those things. So we can, with our knowledge, we can like help a company say, okay, hey, maybe you need a system that does this for this. Maybe you need a not guide them on time and attendance or anything like that, but basically just help them out and say, hey, when you're hiring for a payroll team, this is what you should do. When it comes to your taxes, this is
Ah,
what you should do. So that type of thing is what I was talking about.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. What are employers allowed to do if the
Mm-hmm.
employee makes the mistake?
Uh-huh.
So that'll be an interesting. I'm going to think about that more.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to come across a lot of different information that's out there. I know that the DOL does spell out some statutes or limitations for payroll errors,
Right.
whether it's overpayment or underpayment, and I recently discovered some of this information, so I think it'll be valuable for other payroll professionals to learn
For
about this,
sure.
and even the employees to help them understand, like, hey, this is the time frame that I have in order to get this error corrected.
You had a great quote there. Russ. Can you read it for us?
Yes. So the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice.
Amen.
By Brian Herbert.
Good name.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's a great. It sums up why we do this, right? Like
Yeah.
we do this for the people who choose to learn.
Hmm.
And it makes me think of my son recently is struggling and with homework and stuff like that, and normal stuff, right? He's at an age where it's the normal struggle. You don't want to do homework. The kids don't. You don't want to do it. They're like, hey, homework, blah blah blah. And I've been thinking about a quote to tell him,
Hmm.
the quote is something like, and I probably messing up a little, something like, the man who can read and chooses not to is no better than the man who does not know how to read.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I just don't know. It's Mark Twain, right?
Is it? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, but I
So
know I've read it over the years, and it's one of the way. It's always a good one because it makes you think like, what is that? And people have questioned like, what does that mean? What is that? And for me, it just means like you're wasting a skill. You're wasting
yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah.
So it makes you just as dumb as the guy who doesn't know how to read. And I'm not trying to judge and diss and nothing like that, or chooses not to learn. It just you're just as bad as somebody who does it on purpose or doesn't want to do it, whatever. And he's an intelligent kid, man. And I'm just trying to get him. And mind you, he's in AP classes. He's in an AP track. It's just it's a great quote, and I think it really exemplifies why we do this. It's for the folks
Yeah.
who have that willingness to learn, who learn by choice, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Me and Walt are endeavoring a new app, a new solution for payroll folks, and we're at like the precipice we're at a crossroads of sorts, and we got to push, right? Like we got to get it out there. And I'm excited to learn. So the point was, we're at a crossroads, and right now we have to learn who our client is, and
Yeah.
our marketing consultant that we're going to start working with really put it to us and challenged us, "Well, who's your top 3 clients?" And we were
Hmm.
stuck. We were like, what do you mean? Me and both had similar answers, and it was like both wrong. And we're like, we really need to learn. So that's exciting for me now. Now I have the willingness to learn who that
Hmm.
client is for us and do the work and get into that. So I'm energized to do that. And again, just wraps back into the quote, man. It's a great quote for us at this
Yeah.
time frame, at this crossroads. We got to have that willingness to learn and figure this next step out.
Yep,
So
that's a part of the process. It's a part of the growth.
yeah,
It's a part of this industry that we're in, which is why we started this podcast in the first place. You're gonna go through this not only in life, you're gonna go through it in your career as well. But like you said, having that willingness to grow, to learn, to change, that's gonna mean everything. And yeah, it was Mark Twain,
Really?
what we're talking about. Yeah. So it says, the man who doesn't read has no advantage over the man who can't read.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Oh, okay, cool. Mark Twain.
I'm excited for all that. And so thank you for sharing that, Brian, with us. And I wanted to get into going over what each episode we're going to have for season 3, just a little preview of what each one is going to go through.
Okay.
So episode 1, like we were talking about, the first episode is going to be the pay stub. We're going to focus on the pay stub, how you can understand how to read it, and some of the common uses for your pay stub, i.e., someone might need their pay stub when they're trying to get an apartment or trying to get some
Buy a
type of
house.
service turned on. Yes, by trying to buy a
Hmm.
house, when they're trying to
Applying for
something.
loans.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're gonna focus on that, and a lot of people don't realize the information that is accessible from their pay stubs as well.
Oh yeah. Personal information. You could steal
Yep.
your whole identity from the pay stub.
Yes, just to be
Hmm.
mindful with that
Yep.
stuff as well.
Yep. Record keeping, like how long you should
Hmm.
keep it, the paper form, is it a digital form? If you have it on digital, do you have access to it? And how long do you have access? Are you downloading it to your own? Are
Hmm.
you password protecting it? We
Yep.
just went through security stuff. I actually got to finish my security training. I did 80% of it. I still got to finish it. Sorry, IT gods. But yeah, just it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you start talking about it, it is a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We're just gonna dive in. So that's the first episode we're gonna talk about, and then we're gonna break down each section of the pay stub. So episode 2 is going to be about the earnings. We're going to
Mm,
focus on what kinds of earnings impact OT, knowing your company's policies on earnings in your local government as well. We're going to be talking about so many different things that go coincide for what to us on your earning stub or what's on your pay stub. So being able to look at it and understanding why you got the gross pay that you did for the hours that you worked, and making sure that your rate, knowing how to understand if your rate is properly being paid or
yep.
correct in the system, right?
Amen. Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's crazy. So you said that made me think of, and I'm getting excited now about these episodes. A common question we get is, "Oh, I worked OT this week," and then if you look at
Hmm.
the week, if you look at the work week, there was a holiday in that week.
Yep.
Employees often don't remember or know that holiday time doesn't count towards overtime. Working hours when you're actually working. And PTO, same thing with PTO, right? It doesn't count towards overtime. So if you worked part of the week, you got a holiday and you got a PTO week, but you worked like a lot of long hours, it's not overtime.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, and that's something that we'll touch on in those episodes.
Yeah, I think one of the things we want to touch on as well, one of the questions I added here to our little list as we go, is training as a pay, earning, the actual training, and how that may impact OT as well. I think that is a common question that I get from a lot of the managers that I've done process payroll for, who had training with their employees, and they didn't know whether that training should have been counting towards OT or not. So I
Mm,
think that's something. I think that's something important to discuss.
yes, those are
I want
great
to
call
discuss.
outs. Yep,
Yeah.
cool.
So what's on tap for episode 3, Brian?
Deductions. We covered the pay stub, break it down like you said, right? So earnings is that's the money maker, that's the one everybody likes, and then the deductions not so much, because deductions come in a few different forms. You got
Mm-hmm.
taxes, which you can't really help, and then as payroll professionals, the way we break it down is voluntary deductions and
Uh-huh.
involuntary deductions.
Yes.
Stuff you're forced to, hey, you ain't got no choice with most of this stuff. No choice, so learn about
Hmm.
it and really leverage the knowledge. There's a ton of stuff to learn about there. There's a ton of stuff on people on TikTok trying to teach you stuff. Most importantly, right now, that there's a lady out there, I don't know her name, and but she's like unlocking secrets to taxes and the wealthy, and how the
Yes.
wealthy use taxes to
Yeah.
leverage things, and
She's amazing.
and and
Yeah.
and she mentions all the time there's like 81,000 tax codes or whatever, and the same is true with your income tax, right? Like you really got to learn how to leverage your income tax and do what the right thing for you yourself, and
Mhm.
it's individual. Folks always come at us, what should I put on my taxes? That is so personal. That's like asking, what should I brush? How should I brush my teeth? Or what do I eat tonight? Tell me what to eat for dinner. No, like that's such a
Mhm.
personal decision. You have to put in that work to understand what you should be claiming, what you're
Yeah.
doing. It plays into how you file your taxes at the end of the year, what your
Hmm.
whole financial scope looks like. This all plays together. So
Yep.
deductions, involuntary and voluntary is a part of it, and we're probably going to cover it over a few episodes because it is big. It's a heavy lift, right? And then we got pre-tax and not pre-tax. We got reverse deductions, which actually money in your check. So, bro, you
Yes.
missed that, right? Oh, don't.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to be careful with that, because then that's a way to bad things can happen there. So you have
Hmm.
to, as payroll professionals, we have to be super careful on how we use deductions and negative deductions. And as a consumer, as the person getting paid, you have to understand how that impacts you. Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it bad? And then I don't know, where do we wrap it up with after that? Like, how do we end it off?
So I think one of the last of the two episodes that we're going to cover. So the deductions is going to be four parts, like Brian was saying to that. So it's going to be four episodes that are going to cover deductions,
Mm,
and then episode 7 we're going to focus on your net pay, understanding how you got there, direct deposit, live versus live check. We're going to talk about the results. So basically, that's what why we started off the way we did. We started off with the stub in general, then we went to earnings, then we went to deductions and taxes and stuff. And the result after all those deductions and stuff like that is the net pay. So that's why we're gonna end up on episode 7 there. And then episode 8 is gonna be the other stuff that might be on the stub that are may impact a person's pay. We're gonna discuss pay cards and understanding your PTO, knowing who to contact and how to contact them if you have any questions about your pay as a consumer. And we'll throw some tips in there for the payroll professionals to help them along the way and help them direct these employees to the
I
right
love it.
place.
I love it. And again, folks, I'm not playing. I'm struggling with how to approach this consumer piece. So I'm loving that we're talking about this first, because it is giving me ideas every time. So I just thought about now, well, like you said, what's on your pay stub? Because it's not just earnings, deductions, and a net pay.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's trackers, there's eligibility weight. Like I can think of 401k has a taxable wage amount. PTO, there's a tracker there. It's mandated in some states for us to have this on your pay stub. So that's
Mhm.
another piece that we need to throw in there, is what state mandates what needs to be on your pay stub. Pay period. Your pay period has to be on your pay stub and mandate in some states. So like maybe we'll cover that as well. If not,
Yeah.
maybe we should. We'll cover like what's mandated, what so that yeah, man, I'm so excited then about these then going over that simple pay stub doc,
Yeah.
what all that means and all the info that plays in on there. Your employee IDs on that document,
Yeah.
maybe your location code. There's these little codes and things about how what you do that are there, and that's yeah. Oh man, cool. I'm excited, man. I'm excited about this season. Thanks again,
Yeah.
folks. Happy to be here. Looking forward to this
Yeah.
season. And yeah, we'll be back. See you next episode. Look out for this season 3. It's gonna be awesome.
Yes, it is. All right.
Cool. That was dope.
Yeah, man. I think it was a good one. Thank you for listening to today's episode of our podcast. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we hope that the information that was shared with you will impact you as a payroll professional. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.